Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the opening round of the Simply Race British Championships, as we are here at the facility in Milton Keynes for what's going to be a fantastic day's worth of racing. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your official commentator for the opening round of 6. Throughout the course of this season, we'll be running all the way through, having both Clios and touring cars. But what a better place than to start off with at Brands Hatch Indy. Based in the Garden of England, currently drivers are through their paces in qualifying at the moment for race 2. So you can see we are maintaining social distancing through the COVID-19 pandemic, and every driver will be given a briefing and also the respective set of circumstances regarding every single race all the way through the day. So qualifying underway for race 2. We will have 3 races for both the Clios, and then also we'll have season 3 of the SRBC touring cars, where Matt Richards might be looking to defend his crown from 2019. So let's head to the track, shall we, without further ado, and see how the drivers are faring through the second qualification session. I've already got in my hands our first set of practice side of things, as looks like Ben Brown in the number 22 is currently leading with just under 10 minutes to go. So quite a few drivers making their way through the circuit. 1.929 kilometers, 1.208 miles here, a fast and frantic circuit, but also over the course of each race it will be a 30-minute flat-out sprint. There's Anthony Jordan in the 102, currently on a personal best of a 50.416, which puts him 6th position at the moment, heading down the dip into Paddock Hill Bend, before heading up the Halewood Hill. A little bit of curb taken on the inside on the right-hand side by the number 102 of Anthony Jordan as he powers up the hill, down the gears into Druids, before heading down the hill towards Graham Hill Bend, and then the Cooper Straight. So quickly goes to the right-hand side, neatly turns in, takes as much curb as is humanly allowed, and then runs a little bit wide, coming out of Graham Hill Bend, down the Cooper Straight into Surtees, and then into McLaren. As you can just see the amount of commitment you need, even in the sim racing world. He's down on both sectors at the moment, currently 6/10 down in Sector 1, just over a 10.5 in Sector 2. As he comes through Clark Curve, powers down the Bradman Straight. There's Chris Wilson in the 68, making his way through Paddock Hill Bend. Personal best from the 68 with the Just Send It livery in a 50.138 so far. Up through Druids goes the 68, currently 4th in qualifying, which is currently being led by Ben Brown at the moment with a 49.978. Then it's Will Dendy with a 50.071, and there is a bit of an off-track excursion through the gravel off of Paddock Hill Bend from Ben Brown in the 22. So we'll see how things proceed over the course of the coming 8.25 minutes. So Ben Brown set the best times in the first session with a 49.857, so not too far off of that by just under a 10.5. So it's Dendy, Sean King in the 23, Chris Wilson in the 68, and it's Matt Willett in the 48, Costas Avram in the 26. Anthony Jordan rounds out the top 7, all covered by just under 4.5 tenths of a second. Tim Lane, there is Will Dendy, currently running in real-life racing along with sim racing as well. He's currently 3rd on a 50.071 as he now hurdles his way through the latter part of the circuit, through McLean's and then through into Clark Curve. So, and then powers out. And what the drivers are going to do to try and get the optimum amount of speed coming out of Clark Curve and onto the Bradman Straight will go to the right-hand side as he crosses the line of 51.705, but still some time for Will Dendy to find, as Sean King in the meantime has gone 2nd on a 50.023. Dendy up the hill into Druids, lightly takes the apex, then runs a little bit wide coming out of Druids, down the dip towards Graham Hill Bend into the 90 left, and again just looking to rotate that car and turn it in. So we're over halfway through this 15-minute qualification session, and Will Dendy has gone purple in Sector 1 by just 16 thousandths of a second, and he's quicker again in Sector 2, up by 0.171 seconds. And this looks to be a very good lap from the 28 thus far. Out through Clark Curve, down the Bradman Straight, hugging the right-hand side of the straightaway. Looks like a very good lap, and he crosses the line of 49.795, goes provisional pole for race 2. And we now go on board with the 292 of Terry Sparks, who's rounding out the 11-strong grid that we have, a maximum 15 competitors on this premier in-person sim racing season. He goes across the line, also puts in a personal best, a 52.677 as he goes down into Paddock Hill Bend, through it around 4th gear, at about 140 kilometres an hour That's north of 80 miles an hour through the apex. It's down into Druids, into second gear, around about 80 kilometres an hour. That's 50 miles per hour. Down the hill, up to third. Up to fourth. Then we'll brake, go down into third at around 105 kilometres an hour through Graham Hill Bend on the apex. Needs to improve a little bit more in sector 2, as he's 1.2 seconds down in sector 1 at the moment. Keep on board with Terry Sparks at the moment in the 292 Renault Clio. Comes out of Clark Curve, hugs the right hand side coming onto the Brabham Straight, up through into fifth gear very shortly. Powers across the start finish line, improves and goes better still, a 52.510. That's an improvement of nigh on 2.5 tenths of a second as the back end tries to step out through Paddock Hill Bend. Here's Johnny Ashley in the number 9, currently rounding out the top 9 positions, 0.862 off of the best lap so far by Will Dendy, as Costas Avram now goes second on a 49.972. Just 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session as Johnny Ashley decides to park up in the pit lane. Now, one of the key things about this is that we've now got Tim Lane, who does actually work for Mercedes Formula One, currently in the 19 from Red Shell Racing. He's also been competing in other championships via the rFactor 2 platform. So a big thank you for everyone, wherever you are, for tuning in. We welcome you and obviously hope you enjoy the show all the way through. We have 3 races for Clios, 3 races for touring cars. All of them will be a flat-out sprint from lights out to checkered flag. As Anthony Jordan takes a wider approach into Paddock Hill Bend, looks like the front end trying to bite, but it's understeering slightly. As now Ben Brown in the 22 goes up into second position, just 82 thousandths off of Will Dendy's best effort so far, a 49.795. Anthony Jordan still now in 7th position, looking to improve on the 50.608. Here's Costas Avram in the FMP Clio, full Monty plastering, as you can see on the side of that brightly coloured white and purple Renault Clio. The cars that we're currently using are actually the 4th generation, which has since been replaced by the updated and new 5th generation from Renault Sport. Chris Wilson in the 68, currently 6th in qualification here. It's a 15-minute session, a little bit of dust kicked up from the left-hand side of the 68 Clio as he goes through Graham Hill Bend, down the Cooper Straight, and is on an outlap at the moment. So once he comes through Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight, will be put down in the Renault Clio. Front-wheel drive, let's not forget, so both the main amount of steering and also the traction will come from the front axle, and that's where sometimes torque steer and also understeer or snap-on oversteer can occur. As he flings it into Paddock Hill Bend, neatly takes the right-hand side onto the inside curbing. Up towards Druid goes the 6th. Druids goes 68. Let's have a look at a replay here. Now here is Aaron Masters in the 407 going 2 wheels. Oh, that is nigh on rolling, and he rolls it coming through into Druids. That was fully committed. I think just a bit too much speed there. And the car goes rolling over, and the back end hits the barriers on the exit out of Druids as Chris Wilson improves through sector 1. Down on sector 2 by just over 2 tenths of a second as he comes through Clark Curve and will start making the approach. Let's see if the 68 will make an improvement this time around. Takes a wide line, goes towards the left-hand side of the Brabham straightaway and does a 50.259. That is 0.121 off of his best lap time so far as he absolutely fires it through Paddock Hill Bend, up the Hailwood Hill, through into Druids, neatly on the brakes, tries to turn in, rotate the car. Just over 2 minutes to go, and it is still Will Dendy that is leading qualifying with a 49.795. So Chris Wilson up on sector 1 by just over 1/10 of a second as we go into the dying throes of qualifying. Matt Willett in the 48 is currently 5th at the moment as he goes through Graham Hill, kicking up the dust on the left-hand side. So the track temperatures, virtually speaking, are 15 degrees Celsius air temperature, 15 degrees track temperature, as Matt Willett down by just over 3.5 tenths overall during this flying lap here at Brands Hatch Indy. As out onto the Brabham Straight, comes across the line. not too shabby, actually. Manages to get within 0.2 of his best lap time so far, as again, a lot of drivers using full commitment, as it is a blind apex going into Paddock Hill Bend. Uphill, down into up towards Druids. Neatly takes less curve, as now Sean King in the 23 Clio is currently third. The top three separated going into the final 60 seconds of qualification, just over a 1/10.5 between them. So Sean King now goes through sector one, down by just under 90 thousandths of a second, as he gets a little bit of understeer going through Graham Hill Bend there. Because as you can see, when they try and turn in and try and rotate the car, if it doesn't completely bite, there will be a bit of front end understeer as a result of that. He goes through slightly down, but manages to claw back about 0.5 through the second sector, as he now comes out onto the Bradman straightaway. 20 seconds to go in qualifying. Let's see if Sean King can get any better. Does he improve through sector 3? Oh, fractionally, but gets to within 0.5 of his quickest lap at 49.985, as we are fast approaching the conclusion of the second qualifying session here at Brands Hatch Indy for the opening round of the season. Checkered flag is now out. Tim Lane trying to improve, but nearly 0.5 second down in sector 1. Runs a little bit wide coming onto the Cooper Straight, but keeps two wheels within track limits through into Surtees and into McLaren. And into Clark Curve. And then we'll power out. Goes up by nearly 1/10.5 on sector 2, which is a good improvement there. Now we'll come across the line to complete his last flying lap of the qualification session. Tim Lane powers across the line and doesn't get there, but close enough, but improves by over 0.2 through sector number 3. Johnny Ashley, I think, will look to possibly just park it after this lap, because 3.83 seconds, 3.843 seconds down in sector 1 really does show that in many respects, if a driver's not fully committed, they will abort that lap. But Will Dendy looks to have secured provisional pole for race 2, but the session is completed. So Will Dendy takes pole for race 2 a little bit later on this morning. We have 3 30-minute races. Sean King, by just 0.154 of a second, rounds out the top 3. Costas Avram in 4th. Chris Wilson in 5th. The top 5 covered by just over 0.3 of a second. Matt Willett, Anthony Jordan in 7th. Aaron Masters, Tim Lane, Johnny Ashley, and Terry Sparks round out the 11 strong. So we've got 11 out of the 15 pods being used. So each driver is assigned a pod. Obviously, due to stringent COVID-19 restrictions, each driver is allocated a pod. We are maintaining social distancing. We do have hand sanitizers and disinfectant wipes as well here at Simply Races. The drivers get a well-deserved break ahead of the first race, which will be getting underway in around about 4 minutes' time. So we'll have 3 races. We'll have 2 races here for Clios, 3 races for the touring cars. And in many respects, a lot of people might think, well, what is the Simply Race British Championships all about? Well, there's a lot of information that you can find via our official website, simplyrace.co.uk. You can go to the website. You can find out all the information about the Clio Cup and also the touring cars. And we have a maximum of 15 drivers per round. So the season is as follows. Obviously, we're starting off at Brands Hatch Indy this weekend on August 30th. So happy bank holiday August weekend. September 20th, we return here for Donington Park, and then it's Croft on the 18th of October. The 8th of November is Alton Park. And then we've also got, if memory serves me correctly, I think we have Snetterton, which is effectively round number 5. And then we will have Brands Hatch GP, as is customary in British touring car racing circles, as the QuickFit BTCC are competing at Knockhill this coming weekend. But 1.929 kilometres, 1.208 miles here at Brands Hatch Indy. Fantastic circuit. It's hosted such great events as, of course, the QuickFit British Touring Car Championship. The DTM, who up until 2013 ran this particular circuit. It was named by the drivers as the Honda Marathon in the DTM. But here you can see our qualifying results. Will Dendy with a 49.795, nearly assailed, nearly beaten there by Ben Brown in the 22 on a 49.877. Sean King on a 49.949. Costas Avram just a further 23 thousandths off of breaking into the top 3 at 49.972. Chris Wilson in 5th, Matt Willett in 6th, Anthony Jordan in 7th in the 102, just 0.475 off pole position. Aaron Masters in 8th, Tim Lane Johnny Ashley round out the top 10, all covered by just over 0.863 of a second, with Terry Sparks in the 292 rounding out the 11-strong grid that we will have here today. So we're going to go to a quick break, driver's briefing underway, and we'll get underway with the action straight away at 11 o'clock this morning. Be back in a moment. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now getting things underway for our formation lap. Really excited about this. The first round of the Simply Race British Championships. It is the Clio Cup, and we have a 30-minute encounter. Let's have a look at the starting order. So, Ben Brown will have Costas Avram, so it's the numbers 22 and 26 on the front row. Will Dendy in the 28 will be starting on the inside of row number 2, alongside the 23 of Sean King. Chris Wilson in the 68 and Matt Woolett in the 48 complete row number 3, ahead of Aaron Masters in the 408 and Tim Lane in the 19. So effectively, we've got Johnny Ashley in the 9, Terry Sparks in the 292, and Anthony Jordan, who says that his outlap will be pretty good on the first lap of the race. We'll see what happens as we are about to get things underway. 30 laps set in stone here at Brands Hatch Indy in the Garden of England, ready to go racing to kick off 2020 in style. Obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we've had to make some adjustments, but we are back here in fine fettle and fine style. And obviously, you'll be watching us on multiple streams through Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, amongst others. So Brown and Avram will bring them up to line up on the front row of the grid. So it's Brown from Avram, Dendy from King, Wilson, Woolett, Masters, Lane, Ashley, Sparks, and Jordan. One of the key points here about Brown's hatch is that you have a slight camber to the right-hand side, and it's about getting the traction down perfectly, and it's how you point your car in the correct direction as we wait for Anthony Jordan to be the last of the 11 drivers to get into the grid positions ahead of 30 laps of racing here at Brands Hatch. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to wait for the green flag to wave for the first time for 2020. Let's see who gets the best shot off of the start-finish line here at Brands Hatch to kickstart things off in earnest. Revs rise. Lights are out. We are racing here, and that's an absolutely brilliant start by Costas Avram, who caught Ben Brown napping as it's nearly three abreast going into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. But Brown's on the inside. Dendy trying to go through the middle of King and also Brown, but has to drop back into fourth position. Avram's got an absolute slingshot coming out of the initial start as they head up to Druids through the Hellwood Hill for the first time. King gets passed by Dendy neatly and cleanly there through into Druids as someone runs very, very wide. Coming out of the corner as they go through Graham Hill Bend. So Avram leads, Brown in second, Dendy third, King in fourth, Wilson, Masters, Woolett, Lane, Jordan already up 2 positions into ninth place before we've even completed the first lap as going through into McLaren a little bit wide but gets a good cutback is SHAUN King in the 23. They come around to complete lap number 1. Costas Avram leading quite comfortably by about 0.8 of a second as we go on to lap number 2 here at Brands Hatch. As SHAUN King well in the slipstream of Will Dendy going into Paddock Hill Bend. But Dendy thinking of other ideas. He's got a decision to make. Is he going to attack on Ben Brown going up the Hellwood Hill, or is King going to power around the outside through into Druids? That's the laps. Oh, there's a bit of door bashing there between third and fourth position. But King just keeps himself stuck in there, up the inside, going through. Oh, they clash for third position. But luckily enough, SHAUN King and Will Dendy managed to collect themselves and keep it on the black stuff. But then Wilson goes round towards the outside of Dendy to take fourth position. Dendy's lost 2 places as a result of that accrochage through into Graham Hill Bend. Around the outside goes Woolett in the 48. But then we'll lose out because Dendy will get the inside run coming through Clark Curve, heading down the Brabham straightaway. Let's just see how this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th position is going to pan out here. As now Dendy gets under salvo fire from Woolett, from Masters in 7th position. So Aaron Masters definitely doing some great work here to try and close up on Will Dendy as we go on board with the back camera of the 68 of Chris Wilson. Currently in 4th place, he's got Matt Woolett in the 48 just behind. Will Dendy just fractionally behind in 6th position, and then Aaron Masters. Tim Lane from Red Gel Racing rounding out the top 8, and it has got a gap of around 0.7 of a second between himself and Anthony Jordan in the battle for 8th place. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Costas Avram is pulling away. He's got a gap of just over 0.9 over Ben Brown as we now head on to lap number 4. We go on board with Will Dendy up to 5th gear, pushing 180 kilometres an hour, close to 190s. He puts on the brakes going through into Paddock Hill Bend. As Wilson just up ahead of Woolett takes a bit more curve than everybody else. It is a blind apex, but Dendy looking up the inside, sends it up the inside of Woolett there for P5 through Druids. So Dendy on the comeback trail, so to speak, as Ben Brown is now trying to close on Costas Avram for the lead. A little bit of a run wide by Ben Brown going through onto the Cooper Straight, but he's trying to close. Gap now just under 0.6 of a second between 1st and 2nd position. So Avram got a textbook start, and Brown, I think, bogged down on the start when we went green around about, we're about to complete lap number 4 and on to lap 5. So fastest lap of the race is Chris Wilson on a 50.499 as our 2 leaders now go. So I've just been informed that the incident between SHAUN King and Will Dendy has been declared as a racing incident Will Dendy should have given a bit more racing room in the eyes of race control. So quick judgment from them. A big thank you to our race director for informing me as we proceed. But Ben Brown is on an absolute pillage here. He's going to try and get past Costas Avram, up the inside, through into McLaren. He goes into McLean's and then through into Clark Curve. Nice cutback there by the 22 who took pole position for race 1 earlier on this morning. Now gets into the lead. Now Will Dendy is absolutely flying through the order and also flying up the timesheets because he's just put in the fastest lap of anybody of a 50.293. Oh, round the outside of Wilson goes Dendy through Paddock Hill Bend and manages to keep the foot planted to the floor through Paddock Hill, up the Hellwood Hill, keeps it round the outside of Wilson through Druids, but Wilson will get the inside run, possibly for the next corner. It just depends on how committed Dendy is, and he goes up the inside, neatly done this time by Will Dendy, up into 4th place, but Wilson not giving the number 28 any room to breathe as they literally are zigzagging, going down the Cooper Straight into McLaren and now into Clark Curve. But Will Dendy did a brilliant through into McLaren, through into Graham Hill Bend a couple of corners ago. He managed to make the move, as now Wilson coming under fire this time from Matt Woolett, who looks to the outside, going down the Brabham Straight and looks towards the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. It's just dependent on how brave Woolett is going to be, and there's a nigh on bit of door rubbing between the two for 5th position. But coming up to Druids, Woolett will get the inside line. Wilson's got no other opportunity but to go wide and slot back now into 6th position. And then we have Aaron Masters just behind the 407 in 7th position. Fastest lap of the race still in the hands of Matt Woolett in the 48. As now we have Anthony Jordan going side by side with Tim Lane going into McLaren. The 102 goes towards the outside of the number 19 and switches back through into the approach into Clearways and then into Clark Curve, but Tim Lane will get the inside run coming out onto the Brabham straightaway as long as he gets into the draft of the 102 of Anthony Jordan, who started, let's not forget, in 11th position. Jordan's fastest lap so far, a 50.683. He's running in the 51.7s, as is Tim Lane at the moment as they go through Paddock Hill Bend. So there we have Sean King in the 23 now closing on 2nd place driver Costas Avram in the 26, as Will Dendy goes fully flying towards the outside of Druids and goes very committed and kicks up dust coming out of the corner on his approach into Graham Hill Bend. At the moment, looking at the lap times, Costas Avram last time around was a 50.768, as Sean King in the 23 was a 50.405. Fastest lap of this race for the number 23 Clio. So full throttle action all the way through the proceedings here for the opening round of the Simply Race British Championships. We'll have the touring cars a little bit later on this afternoon, but look at the commitment by Sean King, absolutely throwing the 23 Clio into Paddock Hill Bend. Corner that is known by plenty of drivers as one of the best corners in motorsport, and with the amount of undulation and the sheer sort of pit of the stomach feelings the drivers go through in real life. As now Anthony Jordan still battling away with Tim Lane. This is the battle for 8th position. So Jordan still ahead, but was slightly slower on that particular lap. A 51.188 is up the inside of Costas Avram. Goes Sean King in the 23. Up the inside, going through McLaren and into the exit part of Clearways and into Clark Curve. Nice switch back there. But now the chase is on to try and see if they can catch the number 22 of Ben Brown, who is just under 7/10 of a second behind. Who has Sean King at 7/10 of a second just behind, as we're a third of the way through this first of two 30-lap races. Around 30 minutes of racing action here in the Clios. But one of the biggest things that you've got to contend with here, because of the realism of the simulation here at Simply Race, some of those drivers that have been pushing like crazy, putting in the fastest laps to try and get a gap, their tyres are going to start dropping off towards the end of the race, as we'll see. But some drivers have been conserving tyres, they'll be managing them. Obviously, when you're going through such corners as McLaren, then you're switching through into Clearways and Clark Curve. The sidewalls, the lateral sidewall forces that are put through these tyres are really being put through the ringer, so to speak. As now King has closed up quite considerably and was nearly 4/10 of a second quicker than run wide there by Brown, going through up towards the Hellwood Hill and through into Druids. Is now the gap between the numbers 22 and 23, now battling for the lead of this opening race here at Simply Race. They are just 0.2 of a second adrift of each other, and it's getting closer and closer as they go down Cooper Straight into the left at Surtees, through into the right-hand sweeper at McLaren. We go on board with Sean King, and he's taking a wider line to get the cut back through McLaren into Clearways. Now the run down to Clark Curve is now Will Dendy trying to go up the inside of Costas Avram. Now for P3 as the pair go side by side down the Brabham straightaway. As now Brown going defensive on King through into Paddock Hill Bend and keeps ahead for the moment. Dendy looking up the inside, Avram trying to take a cutback line through as they both run wide, and Avram loses out big time. This could be the opportunity that Matt Willett needs, and he gets through. So the number 26 of Costas Avram jumps down from 3rd to 5th in as many corners as the positions he's just lost, down from 3rd to 5th place. Now we go on board with Sean King, and he is just about 0.4 off of Ben Brown. As now they go through into Clark Curve, through the apex, and let's just see if Sean King can get a good run. Looks a bit closer this time on Ben Brown for the lead here at Brands Hatch Indy, as they are line astern, the slipstream working to good effect for Sean King in the 23. Goes round towards the outside, turns it in, tries to rotate, goes a bit wide, but not wide enough to go on the curves like Dendy and Willett have just done. But Brown again goes defensive into Druids. King still not allowing the 22 to breathe, because the number 22 of Ben Brown has got the bullseye on the back bumper of that Renault Clio. And now the battle will start intensifying. You can see the gap between Brown, King and Dendy closing to just under a second between the trio. And don't count out Matt Willett. He's not too far off of Will Dendy by the tune of about 0.7 of a second. Great onboard shots by our broadcasting team here at Simply Race, just showing how close Sean King is to Ben Brown in terms of the battle for the lead. But you can see the front spotlights on the LED spotlights, or daytime running lights if it was a road car, ablaze on the front of both Will Dendy and also Matt Willett's cars, as Sean King gets very close in the braking zone up the Halewood Hill through into Druids, down the dip into the left at Graham Hill Bend. Dendy looking a bit closer now for second position, and just behind Willett in the number 48. You can see the battle between Costas Avram in the 26 and also Chris Wilson in the 68. That's the battle for 5th position, as now it's getting all argy-bargy now as they're trying to sort of jockey for position. And the beneficiary of this will be Willett in the 48 as Dendy goes towards the outside of King, heading into Paddock Hill Bend. That is opening the door, quite literally, for Matt Willett, depending on how brave the 48 is, as Dendy towards the outside of Sean King, heading up the Halewood Hill, up towards Druid. If Dendy pulls this off, a little bit of a clash between the pair. A little bit of door rubbing. They do say that rubbing's racing in Clios and touring cars, as Dendy manages to get the run coming down through Druids and into Graham Hill. And that means that King will drop to 3rd. He might drop to 4th if Willett gets past, who sweeps up the inside. Neatly done through Surtees. Through into McLaren. We're now at the halfway point of this first race of the day. 1 of 2 here in the Clios, as Costas Avram is being pressurised here by Chris Wilson. As now Wilson in the tow, going down the Brabham straightaway. This is the battle for 5th position. It's just behind. Looks like we could have a bit of a battle on our hands for 7th and 8th a little bit further down the order. There is a change, because Tim Lane is now battling away with Anthony Jordan, who has now got ahead in the 102 for P7. As this battle, they're about 0.4 of a second adrift going through into Graham Hill Bend. The drivers will need to conserve their tyres as much as possible. They will battle, nevertheless. However, the biggest key point here is to make sure that you are sure that your tyres will last until the end of the race, because, as we know in racing, it is dependent on, to finish first you must finish. As now Will Dendy is closing on Ben Brown and took That's a pretty good lap from Will Dendy last time around, a 50.557. As he now is closing on Ben Brown for the lead of this race. This is an absolute storming drive from Will Dendy. Oh! Now there was a bit of contact there, as that looks to be one of the... Now was that a back marker just up ahead that got in the way of Costas Avram, and Avram probably had nowhere to go. Not too sure, but I'm sure that race control will inform me of the situation. They referenced that incident. It might have been Terry Sparks, I think, who was a lap down on the leaders and is being lapped by the rest of the field at the moment. So the top 10 separated by 13.5 seconds. As now Chris Wilson ahead of Costas Avram. Will Dendy now closing fast, and he can sense the opportunity of trying to get round. If he's going around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend, that is a ridiculous move. And he's gone up the Halewood Hill, round to the inside. The pair are side by side going into Druids. As bit sideways there from Ben Brown, but he manages to keep it on the black stuff and stay ahead of Will Dendy. But Dendy looking through towards the inside of Graham Hill Bend. Brown runs wide. Dendy looked for the inside line there, going down into the Cooper Straight. They now go into Surtees. And look at Matt Willett. He's not far behind. Less than 7/10 separate these drivers. As now, Dendy going towards the outside of Clark Curve to see if he can get the switchback. If he opens that door any further, Matt Willett will be up there like a rat up a drain pipe, if I'm completely honest here, as we go on board with the number 48. Lap 19 completed. Oh, Willett has got some room up the inside, but Dendy again goes for the outside move. Oh, little touch there with Ben Brown. Dendy runs wide. Brown gets a little bit of sap over stick. Oh, they clash for the lead! Okay, so Costas Avram gets a drive-through penalty for taking out Terry Sparks last time around, but Will Dendy went for the lead. Oh, Willett and Brown clash. 2 clashes for the lead of the race. Ben Brown still managing to hold on here, as now it's all getting fisticuffs. There's 2 into the barriers. Brown and Willett in the barriers there, off of the Cooper Straight on the right-hand side as Dendy stuck his nose in. And now Sean King in the 23 looks to be leading this race. I'm sure that after those couple of incidents there, that race control will definitively be looking at that incident. A couple of clashes there as Avram now serves his drive-through penalty. Lap 20. Dendy still keeping it around the outside of King, trying to go up the Halewood Hill into Druids. King takes the inside line. Dendy keeping it planted around the outside. He's used this tactic before, let's not forget, and it's paid dividends going into Graham Hill. But this time, Sean King wise to it. So now, the top 3 battle will be between Sean King, Will Dendy, and Chris Wilson. We'll go on now. Let's have a look at the replay here. Now they're on into Paddock Hill Bend. Dendy goes towards the outside, clashes with Sean King. Dendy runs wide, comes across to cover the line on Ben Brown, and you can just see that Dendy's trying to close the door. There's the slightest touch, and as soon as you do that on a front-wheel drive vehicle, it'll spin the other one around, and Dendy hits the barriers, manages to regain, does a full 360, keeps it planted, and then Sean King is there with the 28, and then we come down to Graham Hill Bend. And this is what happened with Matt Willett, and he tags the left rear of Ben Brown, and they come together. Then Dendy and also Sean King comes in. Now look at this gap, it's closing between, Dendy tries to go in between Willett and Brown, and what happens? He turns Willett around, who then gets turned around into Ben Brown, and then all of a sudden, Sean King says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that, guys." That was drama personified there on the Cooper Straight. Will Dendy leading the race at the minute, still after having trials and tribulations. What a way to kickstart the 2020 Simply Race British Championships. I think my heart is in my mouth. I think Mike Yow might need to get me a defibrillator on standby. I might need my meds after this one. However, it is still very much undecided. We still are on lap 22 of 30. Will Dendy leads. Sean King in the 23 in second. Chris Wilson in the 68 rounding out the top 3. Then it's Ben Brown. Anthony Jordan has profited big time throughout this race. in the 102. He started in 11th position. And now it's up into P5, but he is nearly 7 seconds away from Brown in the 22. Tim Lane is still battling away with Anthony Jordan, let's not forget, the Red Shell Racing driver in the number 19. Now trying to hustle Anthony Jordan into a potential mistake, but that depends on what happens. So I'm just right. So I've just had race control update me with the incident involving Wilson, Woollett's, and Will Dendy, that there was an apparent lag spike from Woollett's perspective, and Dendy had nowhere to go. It was a tough call, but they've called it as a racing incident. As now Tim Lane now trying to go up the inside on Anthony Jordan. We're on to lap number 24 of 30. This is their battle for 5th place now. These two were battling over 7th a few laps ago before the order completely changed and was turned topsy-turvy just a couple of laps ago. As now Jordan now behind Lane as they go through Druids, down into Graham Hill Bend and then head onto the Cooper Straight. A little tighter line there taken by Tim Lane in the number 19 from Red Shell Racing. It's been absolute panic and pandemonium, but some great racing along the way. But we have had our fair share of incidents, 2 racing incidents called by race control. And in many respects, it is a difficult decision when they have to make these kind of calls. And especially when it's in the heat of battle, you want to make sure that the racing is as close quarter as it will be over the 6 rounds that will end on the 20th of December this year. So now, Sean King starting to close. Best lap from Will Dendy so far was a 50.293. The best lap from Sean King, 50.405. Ben Brown looks to be really quick in the 22. He's our pole sitter for race 1, as we do have a grid for race 2, which was decided on a second qualification session there. So really, it's more a case of who's going to come out on top. So we're going to complete lap number 25 onto 26 laps out of 30 we go. And that's a great move, textbook move there down the Britan straightaway into Paddock Hill Bend by Ben Brown. So the 22 up past the 23 for second position. Now the chase really begins, and it depends on how much conservation there has been in terms of those drivers having the opportunity to move forward, as Aaron Masters now being closed by Johnny Ashley in the OTL number 9 Clio, as Ashley up the inside. Nicely done there. A little bit of rubbing, but not enough to curtail anyone's proceedings through this race, as Ashley tries to go tight into Graham Hill Bend, runs a bit wide, coming onto the Cooper straightaway, as Costas Avram, who has served his drive-through penalty, is just behind these two, as now the 4:08 of Masters gets back up into 7th position. Costas Avram has a chance in the last few laps. Track temperature is dropping. It was 15 degrees Celsius air and track temperature during the 15-minute qualification session. It's dropped a degree or two. We're down to 13 degrees Celsius. Quite reminiscent of real-life conditions at Brands Hatch. You can see it's overcast overhead, as now Costas Avram gets a really good run on the number 9 into Druids, and up the inside goes the 26 from FMP Racing, and now has the 4:08 of Aaron Masters to contend with in the battle for what is 7th on the road. And in the meantime, Tim Lane looks to have made a bit of a breakaway from Anthony Jordan. Was about half a tenth of a second quicker on that last lap, as now this 3-way strap for 7th will be warring its way on to the checkered flag. But I'm looking at the leaders now, and Will Dendy is getting reeled in by Ben Brown, who last time around was just fractionally off the same pace, as Will Dendy set a 51.446 and Ben Brown a 51.465, as Costas Avram trying to thread the eye of the needle through into Paddock Hill Bend past the 4:08 of Aaron Masters. and makes the move up the inside through Druids, down the dip, through into the Graham Hill bend. And nicely done there. Two nice manoeuvres from Kostas Avram, who could have factored a little bit further up the order had he not had a drive-through penalty for his earlier clash with Terry Sparks. But now, battle for the lead with a couple of laps to go is game on, very much front and centre. Oh, little love tap there by Ben Brown, just to let Will Dendy know he's there. It unsettled the back end of the 28 as they're zigzagging on their way up the Hailwood Hill. As up the inside tries to go Ben Brown, and that left front nearly clashing with the right rear from Brown on Dendy didn't unsettle the 28. So now they come down the Cooper Straight into Surtees. Now they've got a back marker up ahead. They've got to really watch it now, because that looks to be Terry Sparks. Is up the inside. Dendy goes wide. Brown up the inside in the 28 and the 22 to get the cut through. Onto the Bradman Straight they go. And now Brown has got a fraction ahead. Last lap it is. Battle for the lead. Just under 1.2 miles. Dendy keeping it planted round the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. On Ben Brown. Brown getting the inside run, going up in towards Druids for the final time. They've got the back marker up ahead. It's about who now makes the best opportunity of the situation that's in front of them. And it's dependent on Ben Brown's judgment call on how quickly they catch up to the back marker just up ahead, which will be Terry Sparks, as now they come down the Cooper Straight for the final time. As now looks like Ashley trying to go up the inside of Masters through Druids, as through into the exit of McLean's, Clearways into Clark Curve. The first race has been a dramatic one so far, but winning the opening race of the season, it's the 22 of Ben Brown by just under 4/10 of a second from the number 28 of Will Dendy. Sean King takes third. Chris Wilson fourth, but in the meantime, the battle for 8th position still waging on, as now Aaron Masters in the 4:08 will power out of the Clark Curve and onto the Bradman Straight, and will take 8th ahead of the number 9 of Johnny Ashley. Chris Wilson takes 4th ahead of Tim Lane in the number 19. Terry Sparks will round out the 11-strong order, but still will have made it to the end of the race, one that was filled with damage and attrition, if I must say. But Terry Sparks will come round the final corner, through into Clark Curve, power out of the straightaway onto the Bradman Straight here at Brands Hatch, and will be the 11th and final classified finisher with 11 cars all making it to the end of the race. But Ben Brown, so Ben Brown wins the race ahead of Will Dendy. Sean King takes third, Chris Wilson fourth, Tim Lane in fifth, and Anthony Jordan rounding out the top 6. So as everyone now makes their way into the pits, we'll have a chat with some of the drivers very, very shortly here at the opening round of the Clio Cup, Season 2 here at the Simply Race British Championships. So we'll be speaking to our top 3 momentarily as soon as I get the nod that we've got them joining me on the official broadcast, so we'll be speaking to Ben Brown, Will Dendy and Sean King in just a moment's time. But what a race. We've still got another 30 laps of Clio Cup action here at Simply Race in Milton Keynes for the opening round of the Simply Race British Championships. We'll be back in just a moment. Right, let's have a chat with our top 3. Okay, so first of all, Okay, first up, let's speak to our winner of race 1 here at the opening round of the Simply Race British Championships. That was hard fought, Ben Brown, wasn't it? That was, I think, elbows out and then some here at Brands Hatch Indy, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Me and Will had a good scrap at the end, so yeah, really good fun.
But obviously, with the one of the things I want to ask on is the degradation over the course of the race. I mean, 30 laps, you know, the lateral forces that the sidewalls are pulled into here at Brands Hatch Indy, especially when you go through Surtees and into McLaren and then through Clark Curve. It's not easy on the tyres, is it?
No, so you're doing about a second a lap slower just to try and look after the tyres. And you saw at the end there, I think Will had used slightly more tyre coming through the pack than me, so that's how I was managed to latch onto the back of him. But that's part of it really. So you just got to manage it because it is difficult. 30 laps around Brands Indy, the tyres stay really warm, so it's quite difficult to stop them wearing away.
Yeah, and obviously. Race 2, you're still on the front row of the grid, but in second position behind Will Dendy. How are you fancying your chances?
If it's anything like that one, I'm sure me and Will will have a good race. So let's have some fun. Yeah, that'll be good.
That's what we like, a bit of fun, a bit of banter here at Simply Race. But Ben, congratulations. Next up, Will Dendy. You were in the wars all the way through that race. How the heck did you come back through the field? I mean, you just powered through, didn't you, Will?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely awesome, and like everyone's so quick, and everyone's like got such great racecraft. But one thing I tried to focus on was saving the tires as much as possible. Definitely in that midpoint when I was in third, just conserving the tires a bit. But as you saw, as Ben rightly said, right at the end he just had a bit more tires than me, and I thought, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go into clearway a bit slower and get a good exit. But then he just did a brilliant move right up the inside. So, yeah, cracking race from Ben and, cracking race from everyone, really.
Now, obviously, you're on pole position for race 2 with Ben Brown alongside. You're pretty quick in qualifying, but times are for show, points are to go in this championship, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, my driving style has always been a bit more towards tyre saving and like the race more than quali, so I'm pleased with my time, but I think my strength is more in the race and saving tyres. As you saw, like I qualified third, but came second despite quite a lot of battle. So I think it'll be close between Ben and I, and there's going to be, for 15 laps saving the tyres and who pounces first, really. But I'm fairly confident. I think Ben and I, barring any disasters, will be on the podium again. I'd hope.
Well, Will, all the very best of luck starting from pole position for race 2 in the Clio Cup for the Simply Race British Championships. All the very best of luck in the next race, Will.
Cheers, Alex.
Last but by no means least, SHAUN King in the 23. SHAUN, could have been a very different story. Obviously, there was a bit of, let's just say, a few incidents, but still to get a third place in the opening race of the season, it's a marathon, not a sprint, isn't it?
Well, I wish it was more of a marathon. The contact on the start with Will kind of set me back a little bit, and I decided to try and push really hard. That's what destroyed my tyres, and I only had about 38% left by halfway through. So really, it was kind of like damage limitation after that point.
Now, obviously, you start on the inside of row 2 alongside Costas Avram, who I think could have factored a little bit more into this race had he not had the incident with Terry Sparks. But feelings going into race 2 here?
Going into race 2, I definitely would watch out for Costas. He does tend to burn through his tyres like me, though. So if I hadn't bridged the gap and he didn't bridge the gap, I'm hoping that there'll be a group of about 4 of us at the front just battling it out and trying. It'll probably be quite a slow burner, to be honest. It'll be quite even for the first part of the race, and then all hell will break loose for the second part.
That always seems to be the way in Clios, doesn't it? But all the very best of luck for race 2 in just a short while, Sean.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
So there you have it. Our top 3 spoken to: Ben Brown, Will Dendy, and SHAUN King. We go into race number 2 here at Simply Race for the continuing coverage here at Simply Race, live from Milton Keynes, direct, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of moments' time. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the continuing coverage of the Simply Race British Championships here, live and direct from Milton Keynes, the premier in-person sim racing series. And after what was a fantastic first race, Ben Brown taking the win ahead of Will Dendy and Sean King rounding out the top three. We've got another race still to go before we then move on to our touring car extravaganza with 3 races set to take place this afternoon. So really, how can you get involved? Head to simplyrace.co.uk. Why not follow us on the relevant social medias? And I have seen on YouTube that the comments have quite literally been blowing up. I think someone's put a Ricky Bobby comment in there saying, "You ain't first, you're last." Well, Will Dendy needs to make that up next time for race number 2, because he starts on pole position. Ben Brown will start alongside on the front row of the grid. Dendy was quicker in qualifying, but here at Brands Hatch Indy, as you can see, this is the result after 30 laps of initial competition. Ben Brown took the win from Will Dendy, Sean King in third, Chris Wilson and Tim Lane rounded out the top 5. Anthony Jordan managed to surge back from 11th to finish 6th ahead of Costas Avram, Aaron Masters and Johnny Ashley, with Matt Willett running out the top 10, with Terry Sparks still making it to the end of the race itself. But we have another 30 laps here, and if the first race was anything to go by, you know for a fact that race 2 is going to be something completely different altogether. When we spoke with our top 3 a bit earlier on, Will Dendy says, I do tend to go better in the race. Well, he's qualified on pole position, and if he does slip down a bit further back down the order, we do know that he's going to have the opportunity of moving back up the field and maybe contesting for the lead. But it's dependent on whether Ben Brown manages to do the double here for the morning's action here at Simply Race. Brands Hatch Indy, fantastic circuit, 1.929 kilometres, 1.208 miles. It's been around since the 40s. So let's have a look at your starting order for race 2 of the Simply Race British Championships Clio Cup Season 2, race 2 of the day and the final race. Will Dendy will start on pole position in the 28. Ben Brown in the 22. Our race 1 winner will start alongside. And it's Sean King in the 23 and Costas Avram alongside in the 26. Chris Wilson in the 68 and Matt Willett in the 48 will round out row number 3. And then Anthony Jordan in the 102 and Aaron Masters in the 408 round out the top 4 rows. Completing the 11 strong order, Tim Lane starts in the 19 in 9th ahead of the 9 of Johnny Ashley, who rounds out the top 10 with the 292 of Terry Sparks, completing the starting order. 30 laps once again here at Brands Hatch Indy. So it will be a case of seeing who gets off the line quickest. Now, Costas Avram in race 1 left everyone in his wake and opened up an initial gap of around 0.8 of a second before we'd even gotten to the Haywood Hill and up to Druids. So it's dependent on who can do the Turkington-esque start in a front-wheel drive Clio Cup car. So Dendy will start from pole, Brown on second, King in third, Avram and Wilson round out the top 5 of the 11 competitors set to go into battle for one last time this morning before we head over to the touring cars later on this afternoon. Everyone now starting to get in their grid positions, and when Terry Sparks is in his position on the grid, the revs will start to build, the lights will go out, we will go racing here at Brands Hatch Indy. So they line up. We wait for the revs to build. Revs rise. Lights go out and we go racing. And Costas Avram again has got the jump on everybody round the outside to take the lead, heading into the Paddock Hill Bend. The 26 from FFP Racing got an absolute flyer there as Dendy leads the rest of the field going into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time, as it looks like King has just got briefly past Ben Brown into third position and now gets through in the inside of Druids. Just behind Wilson and Willett battling away over 5th place, with Wilson just fractionally ahead at the moment. Going through Graham Hill for the first time. As now Dendy quickly on the back bumper of Costas Avram going through into Surtees and into the right of McLaren. As now Sean King will be coming under close fire from Ben Brown if Brown gets a run, as now King gets a run on Dendy coming out of Clark Curve, and into the Brabham Straight. Avram, like he did last time out, leads the field into Paddock Hill Bend, having completed lap number 1, as King looks to the inside of Dendy, who there's a flash on the brake lights there as he's modulating the brake pedal going through into Paddock Hill Bend to get the optimum run going through the apex, as now he tries to go up the inside. Very, very close there between Avram and Dendy, who we now go on board with. Through into the left. As now Avram will keep a gap of around about just over 0.3 of a second between himself and Dendy. So 58.097 from Avram, a 58.347 from Dendy, a 58.505 from Sean King, and also Ben Brown, a 58.987. So the top 4 covered by just under 1.3 seconds as we now complete another lap here. On to lap 3. As Dendy gets a bit closer going through Paddock Hill Bend. Avram gets a bit of understeer going through the exit of the corner, runs a little bit wide, 2 wheels on the curbs. Same for King, as now Dendy looking towards the inside of Druids and sends it through, runs very, very wide. Switch back, quite easily done there by Costas Avram, who retakes the lead. So they run down to Graham Hill Bend, and then Dendy manages to slot back in front of Sean King, who's right on the back bumper of the 28. There's Terry Sparks just going through Druids. It's now the top 3 covered by just under 6.5 of a second. Dendy goes defensive going through into Surtees and then into McLaren, and then in through the exit of Clark Curve as they're trying to put the power down. They're trying to steer, put the power down, and what tends to happen is that the front end will have a bit of torque steer. And when you consider these are 1.6 litre turbocharged engines producing around about 220 brake horsepower, mated to a paddle shift 6-speed gearbox if it was a real life situation, but with the simulation very, very true to life here at Simply Race. Tyre degradation will see drivers struggling throughout the duration. And obviously when we spoke with Sean King, he said that by halfway through the race he was battling on around 38% worth of tyres left. So it shows how quickly the lateral forces going through the sidewalls can really push these tyres incredibly, incredibly hard. So we go on to lap number 5 very, very shortly. Avram now leading still by just under 0.4 from Dendy. King looking again up the inside, heading in towards Paddock Hill Bend. As now the top 5 looks to be that Chris Wilson's trying to close in. And he has set the fastest lap of anybody, a 50.381, as he closes really, really quickly on the back bumper of Ben Brown, going down through Druids, down into Graham Hill. Matt Willett not too far behind this either, so top 5 covered by just 2 seconds. Willett is about 6.5 tenths of a second back from the top 5, so it's a cleaner affair thus far. So drivers looking to get their opportunities here through the Brabham Straight, as now Ben Brown will get a good run on Sean King. Chris Wilson still has the fastest lap of the race in the pocket at the moment. As now Dendy ahead of King, who looks to the inside of the 28 going through Druids. Go on board on the roof cam, pointing backwards off of the number 28 of Will Dendy in second position. And now the Dendy train is starting to increase, as now you've got Sean King, Ben Brown in 4th, Chris Wilson in 5th. There's Matt Willett and then Aaron Masters. As now some of the drivers looking to take a wide line coming through the exit of Clearways and into Clark Curve. Dendy losing a little bit of time to Costas Avram. Gap now between 1st and 2nd is around 0.7 of a second. On to lap 7. Very much a cat and mouse game here in the second encounter here in the Clio Cup, as Wilson looks towards the inside, as King goes up the inside of Brown for 3rd place through Druids, but Brown will have the inside run going through into Graham Hill Bend, manages to close the door off and nip in front. Oh, a little bit of a tussle between the pair, and now there's the slightest amount of contact, but all drivers manage to keep themselves pointing in the right direction across the circuit. Paul O'Grady saying choo choo. Yes, there is the trade. Oh, one off in the barriers, and that looks to be SHAUN King in the 23 backwards into the gravel just off the entrance into Clark Curve. Meanwhile, we go on board with Will Dendy in the 28, who rounds out, who is in second, but he's trying to close on Costas Avram and was just over 0.2 of a second behind the number 26. So SHAUN King has an absolute mountain to climb over the next 21 or so laps as the leaders now make their way through into Surtees, into the right of McLaren. Let's have a look at the replay. So they come into Surtees and McLaren. So King is on the inside and hits the curve slightly, and that then pushes Wilson out wide. Wilson then trying to turn in, and that turns around SHAUN King on the exit, and Masters going grass tracking, Woolett up the inside, and SHAUN King left out to dry on the exit of Clark Curve. Now on to lap number 9 out of 30. So just getting a couple of updates from race control. Okay, so effectively looks to be 2 racing incidents called up at Druids, with looks like, and also through clearways. So looks like there's no further action taken. Looks like SHAUN King was a result of trying to get back on circuit and got himself turned around in the process. So SHAUN King now in 9th ahead of Tim Lane from Red Shell Racing, the number 19. I'm just looking at the lap times from SHAUN King at the moment. He's running in a 51.160 last time around, whereas Tim Lane's running in the 50.8s. Ben Brown, in the meantime, has done the fastest lap of anybody, a 50.581. So the gap between the top 3 just under 1.2 seconds, as Will Dendy closing once again on the leader. This time it is Costas Avram, who on to lap number 11 will continue to lead. So we're a third down, 2/3 to go. As Andrew Pike says, Prestige Worldwide, brilliant on YouTube. So big thank you for everyone interacting. We will try to get to your comments as if there's a little bit of a lull, but with Clios and touring cars, you're guaranteed action all the way through. Costas Avram running in the 51.0s, and Will Dendy just 16 thousandths off of the 26 last time around on that last lap. So they're consistently running in the same pace. However, Ben Brown, our race 1 winner, now closing on Will Dendy in number 28, and is about 0.3 off, as you can see how quickly Dendy's closing on Avram. Hairline astern, tighter line taken through Clark Curve by Ben Brown as they come through onto the Brabham Straight. Up to 5th gear, 170 kilometres now. They'll push nearly 180 coming across the start-finish line. On to lap number 12, breaking down from 5th down into 4th gear at about 90 miles an hour, coming through the apex of Paddock Hill Bend. There's now Dendy again looking up the inside. Oh, little turnaround on Costas Avram, but he manages to keep himself going, and he'll get the inside run going through into Graham Hill Bend as Dendy can't force it through. But this is allowing Brown to close. And again, Matt Woolett, who was in the thick of things earlier on in race 1, now has an opportunity at potentially of a top 3 finish. As now, Dendy going around the outside of Clark Curve on Costas Avram. He's going to have to try and place his car right, coming down onto the Brabham straightaway. As they go down to complete lap number 12, onto 13 we go. As now Woolett goes towards the outside of Paddock Hill Bend on Brown. Dendy going round towards the outside of Avram. Side by side go the leaders. Dendy still keeping the foot planted to the floor, going round the outside of Druids. The pair giving each other enough racing room, but how quickly is Dendy going to come out of the corner? Not quick enough to try and go up through into Graham Hill Bend and send it up the inside. Yes, Paul O'Grady, one of many dive bombs that Will Dendy and probably others will attempt in the meantime, as we are fast approaching the conclusion of lap number 13 of the second race here, as looks like there's room for Ben Brown, who gives Will Dendy a nudge on the right-hand side. And now Matt Willett trying to also factor in, as now Ben Brown gets second from Dendy. A little bit of a robust manoeuvre there by the 22, race 1 winner, as now Dendy up the inside of Brown going through Paddock Hill Bend. The 28 manages to get through. Brown gets a good run coming out of Paddock Hill Bend, as does Matt Willett. And then a little bit further down the order, Sean King now trying to go, I think, alongside. That is Chris Wilson now trying to go through on Aaron Masters, and looks to have gotten the move done. So Chris Wilson now up into 5th place. There's Dendy again up into 2nd, trying to force his way past Costas Avram, as we now go on to our halfway point of the race. And Dendy is being an absolute charlatan, trying to keep it around the outside of Costas Avram, going through the Exeter Clark curve onto the Brabham straightaway. And it is absolutely nip and tuck between the pair. A little bit of rubbing between the pair. Right-hand side of Dendy on the left-hand side of Avram. Going through into Paddock Hill Bend. Dendy still keeping it planted to the outside. Touches with Avram and turns the leader backwards into the barriers off of Paddock Hill Bend. And all of a sudden, Ben Brown capitalises. And now Willett is closing up on Will Dendy. That was very, very close, because the pair were trying to give each other enough racing room. And I think Will Dendy might have just been not had really much opportunity to try and get out of it. But obviously that will be dependent on the eyes of race control, who will, I'm sure, inform me of any relevant decisions. But Costas Avram had a drive-through penalty in race 1, now has a turnaround whilst battling for the lead in race 2, as we're now going to go on to lap number 16 out of 30. Yes, Will Black, you did speak too soon, unfortunately. But these things do happen. Let's have a look at the replay. So you could just see they are literally door panel to door panel, paint being rubbed. So Avram's on the inside, Dendy trying to turn in and keep it around the outside. You can now see he's halfway alongside the 26 of Avram, then starts to turn in. So Avram's trying to block the door, shut the door for Dendy, and turns him around, and was halfway alongside around the outside. If he was on the inside, I'm not too sure how it will be called, but that's down to race control. But Costas Avram now up into 9th position, down into 9th position as a result of that contact there. But now Will Dendy is going to try and see if he can catch up to Ben Brown, who is looking to do the double here in the opening round of Season 2 for the Simply Race British Championships Clio Cup season. As now Terry Sparks just up ahead. Okay, so Aaron Masters, I think, has just served a drive-through penalty for contact, and also the incident between Will Dendy and Costas Avram now being investigated, as Dendy and now Willett has a bit of a drama going through into Graham Hill Bend. Now I'm not too sure if he might have had a little bit of a clash with Terry Sparks there, but Willett now drops behind Anthony Jordan, of all people, who started in 7th, now up into 3rd place. Chris Wilson up into 4th. So Matt Willett still circulating, it looks like. He did a 50.857 last time around, and he now is rounding out the top 5 positions. So on to lap number 19 out of 30. 18 out of 30, and it looks like Ben Brown has got a comfortable lead at the moment from Will Dendy by about 1 1/4 seconds. So we'll fast be approaching the conclusion of 2/3. Right, let's have a look at this replay here. So here is Aaron Masters, and just up ahead, now he's just tagged quite vicariously there, the 68 of Chris Wilson, and that means that Masters gets sent wide. Ashley goes through. Then also Anthony Jordan goes up the inside of Chris Wilson as a result of that. So the 102 running in the Clio Cup livery. So I'm just getting informed of the incident reference of Avram and Dendy. and it should have been, in the eyes of race director. The race director has called a racing incident between the clashes. Will Dendy was pretty much alongside going into Paddock Hill Bend, and effectively what happened was Will Dendy turned right, Costas Avram kept going straight to close the door, and in the eyes of race control, the race director, it was classed as a racing incident. So now, Will Dendy just keeping an eye on his lap times. He has just done a 50.648 on the last lap around, as they've now gone on to lap number 20 out of 30. 2/3 down, 1/3 to go. And the lap time from Ben Brown was a 50.812. Will Dendy starting to close and starting to eat into that gap just up ahead. It was around 1.3 seconds at one point. It's now 9/10. As here is the battle between the number 23 of SHAUN King, who goes around the outside through Druids. Nicely done there by the 23 on the number 9, who now drops down into 7th position. So the gaps between Ben Brown and Will Dendy, just under 9/10 still. Anthony Jordan is currently rounding out the top 3, is Johnny Ashley, and the number 9 again, looking to see if there's an opportunity to get past the 23 of SHAUN King. So there is the recovering Matt Willett, who is now in 5th place, and just up ahead looks to be Chris Wilson in the 68. So running order at the moment, Ben Brown leads by just over 3/4 of a second from Will Dendy. Anthony Jordan in 3rd, Chris Wilson in 4th, Mark Willett in 5th, SHAUN King in 6th, Johnny Ashley in the number 9 in 7th, ahead of Tim Lane in the number 19, Costas Avram in 9th in the 26, Aaron Masters in the 408, who has been the second driver that's been hit with a subsequent drive-through penalty due to contact. It was Costas Avram in race 1, Aaron Masters in race 2, with Terry Sparks still running in this race, as the leaders are now on effectively lap number 21 of the 22 of this race, as they just crossed the line, and Will Dendy is absolutely on a charge, and that gap has considerably come down. Ben Brown did a 50.856. Will Dendy was 0.298 seconds adrift, so nearly 3/10 of a second quicker in that last lap. So looks like the race is coming to Dendy a little bit more. He did explain that. Right, let's have a look at a replay here. Now this is Mark Willett, who's just behind, that looks to be Will Dendy. Now this is what happened earlier. Now it was, he went in fully committed and just got snap-on oversteer going through into Graham Hill Bend from a little bit earlier on. So it was a bit of a mistake on his own part, having to judge where Terry Sparks was. As now in the battle for the lead. Oh, Will Dendy goes towards the outside. Now he's used that to good effect going through Paddock Hill Bend, as now he's going to get the run going up the Halewood Hill. Will Dendy going up the inside into Druids and takes the position from Ben Brown, who gives him a bit of a luck tap, saying, well, hang on a second, I was just leading. What are you doing? So Will Dendy now gets passed into the lead on lap number 23 out of 30. Dendy, let's not forget, started on pole position for this race with Ben Brown alongside on the front row, but it was Costas Avram for the second race in succession from fourth on the grid that got an absolutely brilliant start when the lights went out. Good reactions there from the 26. It's now Dendy cuts across very, very viciously over the front bumper of Ben Brown, but has enough room to do so as they now go on to lap number 24 of 30. A little bit further down on the bottom right-hand corner of your screens, watching at home, you can now see that that looks to be the 23 of SHAUN King, who's now got himself up into the top 6 and is closing on the pair ahead in the form of the number 48 of Matt Willett and the number 68 of Chris Wilson. Ben Brown still has a little bit of an advantage here. It's easy enough to become the leader, but it's easier to do the chasing sometimes, and that's what Will Dendy's been doing all the way through this race. And now he's made good his intentions, as now SHAUN King on the back bumper going through into Surtees and the right at McLaren on Matt Willett, and goes up the inside. Willett leaves the door open quite widely there. As now SHAUN King up into 5th place. Willett just in the slipstream of the number 23 as they now head towards Paddock Hill Bend. But King goes towards the inside. Willett to the outside. Willett takes a bit more curb than the 23. So heating up rather nicely because not too far ahead of SHAUN King is Chris Wilson. And then also you look ahead, and then in the Renault Sport Clio Cup livery is the 102 of Anthony Jordan, who's held station. As you now see the leaders just out of shot there, going through Clark Curve and into the Brabham Straight. And now Brown on the counter-offensive on Will Dendy as they go into Paddock Hill Bend on to lap number 26 out of 30. Still pretty evenly matched between these two as now Ben Brown tries to look to do the same as what Will Dendy did to him a few laps ago, and about on lap number 22 at the same corner through Druids, but Dendy wise to it. Through Graham Hill Bend, as now looks like there's a bit of a battle here between Chris Wilson and SHAUN King, with King going towards the outside of Wilson through Druids, and then they go into the left at Graham Hill. So leaders coming round back onto the Brabham Straight. Again, SHAUN King closing on Chris Wilson for 4th position. Anthony Jordan, I definitely can sense, has 3, maybe even 4 other Clios, because now you can see that Johnny Ashley coming into shot as they now power their way across the start-finish line on the Brabham straightaway. And in terms of the lap times between the two leaders, Dendy's just done a 50.996. Ben Brown at 51.131. So now 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, pretty much line astern. Anthony Jordan has got to go ultra defensive on the 3 behind. I think he's probably already been doing that for the last couple of laps, just to secure his position. He started 11th, managed to get P5 at the end of race 1, and as now, Wilson looking up the inside of Anthony Jordan. And then if Jordan leaves the door open, it won't just provide an opportunity for Chris Wilson, who's now right on the back bumper, going through Clark Curve onto the Brabham straightaway. Jordan goes defensive, going into Paddock Hill. Takes the inside line. Wilson to the outside. King looking to the inside of the 68. As Jordan trying to keep position. Through Druids. Takes the tighter line. King to the outside of Wilson. Oh, little touch there between Wilson and Jordan. But Jordan gets the run going down back into Graham Hill Bend. Retakes P3. But then runs a little bit wide. Oh, gets a little bit sideways as the 102. But that allows SHAUN King, who's just absolutely blasted past Chris Wilson. And now trying to go rally crossing through into Surtees. But that compromises him going through into McLaren and Clark Curve. So Anthony Jordan has just been given a get-out-of-jail-free card as Will Dendy starting to power away. And next time around it will be the final lap. But the battle that we really need to keep our eyes on is between 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. So Jordan leading that train. King just behind, trying to go towards the outside through into Druids, looking for the switchback. Jordan taking a tight line. Wilson in 5th as Ashley goes around the outside of Willett through into Druids and gets the run going down the hill into Graham Hill. That's a great move there by Johnny Ashley to take 6th position. But now, very shortly, the leaders will go on to the final of 30 laps here at Brands Hatch. But then Jordan's run wide coming through. Oh, King's trying to go up the inside of the 102 going through Clark Curve. Jordan and King put the power down. Jordan gets ahead for the minute. King towards the inside on the Brabham straightaway. Final lap it is. This is nail-biting stuff as Anthony Jordan still keeps it in 3rd place. He's absolutely done a great job as Anthony Jordan going down up towards the Hellwood Hill for the final time, still for P3. SHAUN King in 4th. Chris Wilson 5th. Johnny Ashley with, I think, the best move of this race on Matt Willett. So the lead is now coming through for the final time. Will Dendy now flashes the headlights and takes race 2 in Clio Cup Season 2 at the Simply Race British Championships. Ben Brown in 2nd. Anthony Jordan, he's got one more corner to negotiate. He powers out Well, this is a one for the books because Anthony Jordan is going to get the run for third place. King will take fourth. It's a drag race to fifth place as Ashley, gets turned around by Wilson going across the line. And drops to seventh as a result of that last exchange. Will it take sixth? Ashley takes seventh. Oh, my goodness me. Well, it was a calm race all up until that point. So Johnny Ashley takes seventh, Tim Lane takes eighth, Costas Avram will take ninth, Terry Sparks crosses the line, a lap down off of the leaders in 10th position, and we're just waiting for Aaron Masters to come across the line. He'll be a lap down off of the leaders. It looks like he's just exiting the pits, but Will Dendy wins race 2. If the Clio Cup is anything to go by this morning, you'll have to wait until the touring cars. We've got 3 races there, and anything can happen. But what a great race. Will Dendy takes race 2 ahead of race 1 winner Ben Brown. So it's a reverse of what happened in races 1 and 2. Anthony Jordan takes a surprising, I think probably in his books, P3 after a great battle between himself, Sean King, Chris Wilson, Matt Willett and Johnny Ashley, who I think so far has got the race move of the day round the outside. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a moment here at Simply Race for the opening round of the Simply Race British Championships. Back in just a moment. Right, let's have a chat with our top 3. Well, there we go. Will Dendy, runner-up in race 2, winner of runner-up in race 1. My apologies there, and winner in race 2. That was a close fight yet again between you and Ben Brown, but a lot of fun between the pair of you. It was a close cat and mouse game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's great. I'll be honest, Alex. I thought he had me. Like at the midpoint, he was faster, and I was like saving tyres, but you know my tyres were in good shape. I think midpoint I was at like 65%, whereas others are at, I don't know. Someone said they're at 15 at the midpoint. So yeah, really close. And then I just thought with 18, 20 laps to go. Okay, I'll put the hammer down now and see where it gets me. And I think despite that battle we had at the start with Costas, it's still it still had some tyres left.
I'm quite surprised because obviously, you're putting a lot of lateral forces through these sidewalls from a realistic perspective. And as you said, it was about the tyre conservation. You were very, very much practicing what you preach, doing the business in qualifying, but making sure you got enough tyres in the race. And that's one of the key things with the Sprint Race Championship, where you have to really, really sort of look at the strategy and keeping an eye on the tyre temps, the tyre deg, also how your car's handling as the tyres evolve over the course of a 30-lap race.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just about, you could go a tenth or two faster and look like a hero for the start of the race, for the early laps. But it's just about using a little bit less lock, waiting a little more before you put the throttle on, going a tiny bit slower round into the corners, just like marginal gains really. And that's what saves the tyres the most.
Well done, Will. Congratulations. A second in race 1, a win in race 2. You must be feeling pretty good about that, mate.
Cheers, Alex. Yeah, it's great. Thanks. Super fun championship. I love it. Brilliant.
Well, that's why it's in person here at Simply Race. Let's head to race 1 winner, but race 2 runner-up, despite battling all the way through. Ben Brown, Will did have a really good run in that. He was battling for the lead early with Costas, and obviously they had the coming together. But that brought you back into it, didn't it?
Yeah, the start was a bit sluggish, but then just sitting behind the front, kind of 2-3, just waiting for something to happen, and then it did. And then me and Will just bringing it home as seems to be the standard for the day. to finish. So yeah, it was good fun though. Good fun.
Well done. Obviously, all the very best of luck for the next round in a few weeks' time. But great job, and I think we'll probably see you in the podium in just a few minutes' time. But well done.
Cheers, Alex.
Last but by no means least, Anthony Jordan, a fellow commentator, but a dab hand behind a sim, it seems, because race 1 started P11, finished P5, and then started P7, race 2, and finished on the podium whilst everything was kicking off behind you, Anthony. Great race, wasn't it?
It was quite an exciting race, yeah, definitely, I would say so. From the start, it wasn't going my way. I actually started the race in reverse. I don't know why, I didn't clock it. I went backwards at the start. And then on lap 2 and 3, I went off wide at turn 1. But yeah, with all that carnage, managed to close back in and hold onto a P3 at the end. It was a very tight race.
Yeah, but at least you got some consolation in managing to show some good pace, some good defensive driving as well. I mean, especially when you have the likes of SHAUN King and Chris Wilson sort of battling tooth and nail. You had Matt Willett in there as well. And I think in the latter stages, Johnny Ashley, who pulled off one of the best moves, I think, of the first round of the season so far, around the outside of Matt Willett through Druids and made it stick through Graham Hill Bend. I mean, that's a pretty good way to sort of show yourself to the masses on a live stream, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the guys are incredibly skilled. They made it very, very tough for me, especially at the end. Hats off to them. It was a well-fought race by all. But yeah, there's some great overtakes in that one. Really chuffed with the podium.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Well done today, mate. So that is it for our 2 Clio Cup races here at Simply Race. And very shortly, we'll be getting underway with our podium presentation for the first round of Season 2 of Clio Cups in the Simply Race British Championships. Back in just a moment's time.
Okay, we've got our podium for the first round of the 2020 Simply Race British Championships. Clio Cup podium. Third place with a total of 28 points. 28 points. Right, okay. On the podium, third place, 28 points. SHAUN King. And it did come down to count back, but your runner-up for round one, total of 37 points, Ben Brown. But your winner for round one for the Simply Race Clio Cup, Mr. Will Dendy. So, ladies and gentlemen, your Simply Race British Championships Clio Cup podium for round one. No worries, guys. Well, that's it for the Simply Race British Championships for the Clio Cup. Join us in just a few moments' time when we turn our attention to Season 3 of Touring Cars for Simply Race British Championships. See you in just a few moments' time.